How do you obtain the moe? Now, after reading the first volume of Komi and reading all of Nagatoro and Uzaki-chan up to a specific point, I have now perfectly analyzed how do we achieve moe in each girl in particular. Now, moe, achieving the moe, is basically reaching the moment with each girl where you finally get them at their most vulnerable, the most open to providing their feelings through the facade that they usually place, like Uzaki being really aggressive and competitive and excitable, and in reality she's really girly and very romantic and motherly. Same thing with Nagatoro and Komi. The moe, while given to us differently because they all have different personalities, they all have the moe. For example, if you want the moe from Uzaki, you have to give her what she wants. And what she wants, assuming that we are senpai, is the reciprocated affection of senpai. Now, not too much so to where the relationship and dynamic is so completely awkward that both of you don't know what to do. But breadcrumbs of reciprocation is exactly how you obtain the moe from Uzaki. For example, when the chapter in which he's doing karaoke and Uzaki and Ami come in to burst his bubble, Ami puts Uzaki in a bunny girl suit to play with him, because that's the facade that Uzaki has. She toys with him. Much like Nagatoro, she gets him to be a little bit more personable and sociable and excited. But in this moment, he breaks a bit and says he really loved her bunny suit, causing Uzaki-chan to provide the moe that we're all here for and the best part of any romance manga. The moe being her blushing behavior, the facade completely breaking, her not knowing what to do, just resulting in a stupid senpai's a perv, but in reality, you know what she's thinking. That's the moe for Uzaki. Or early on in chapters where he's playing VR, right? This one's one of my favorites. He's playing VR, and he reaches, oh my god, this stuff is so real, he could touch it. And boom, he accidentally grabs Uzaki's breast, believing that it, for whatever reason, is something in-game because of how realistic the VR is. Now, Uzaki-chan never tells him that that's what he did. Because, here's the thing. If this wasn't the moe, let's say this was just her facade still taking over, she would have hit him over the head for being a perverted senpai and then made fun of him or something. The moe was real because she doesn't say a single word. She merely blushes, gets extremely shy, and writes down in her notebook later of all the things that senpai's done to her perverted like that she seems to be really, really interested in. But she doesn't say it because the facade or the lack thereof is the moe. The real core of the girl where she's the most emotionally pure and vulnerable is the moe I'm speaking of. Nagatoro has a similar thing. Only Nagatoro is a little bit harder to grasp. Her facade is very strong and almost unbreakable. And it's only ever done so by senpai in her volume accidentally. With, for example, there's a specific volume, I don't know which one, where she's pestering senpai like usual. Her facade of being very teasy and excited. She hops on his back to get a piggyback ride because she knows just how it'll make him uncomfortable. Not knowing, rather, that senpai was just going to suck it up and do it. Now, her wearing a skirt and being a schoolgirl and him having to hold her legs up only provided for one of the best moe moments in the entire manga. He's holding her, but she's slipping because for whatever reason she might be sweaty or he's just losing his grip. So he has to ride his hand up her thigh. And it gets a little too close for comfort for her. Her facade of being extremely in control completely snaps. And out of this extreme emotional vulnerability, she jumps off a senpai and runs away. Completely shy, doesn't know what the fuck is happening. At least I believe she ran away. There's multiple times where something like this has happened. But she gets extremely... Her facade breaks entirely. The character of Don't Toy Me Nagatoro immediately faded. And we got Hayase, the girl who doesn't know how to fucking handle her feelings and has a big crush on senpai. We got that there. Or, for Nagatoro, a better example is when senpai is sick at home. She visits him just out of curiosity and out of concern because they have gained quite a friendship at this point. goes to his room, sees how bad his fever is, and tries to keep him entertained for a second. But then he snaps into his sleep as she's trying to do her normal routine of displaying her feelings through the veiled facade that we usually get of her being teasy and aggressive. But as he sleeps and she realizes he can't hear her, we get the biggest, like, bruh moment where Nagatoro is rubbing his head, and then she talks to herself, essentially, knowing that he can't hear her, and basically confesses how she wants to kiss him and take care of him. That is the biggest Nagatoro moe moment you're ever going to get, or at least that we've got so far, because this was a deliberate moment where she's almost in a room alone. There is no facade. There is no fake shit. This is what Nagatoro really feels. Now, it's even better because he's not awake to hear it. To me, you ruin the aspect of your relationship, especially in a manga like this, and this in its infancy, when all of the feelings are on the table and everyone just talks and communicates. That takes away all the fun out of it. The fun is maneuvering through all of the complex feelings and actions made out of, like, concern for your relationship and mistakes, and all of that stuff makes the ride interesting. You don't want them to just communicate. She tells her feelings, he tells his feelings, and now they're a couple. It's fucking lame. You want to have to walk and traverse the fog that is complicated teenage feelings, because that's the fun part. You know, realistically, once you've done that, it's boring, which is why it usually ends there. Now, Komi, the one I've read the most recently, is really fascinating because of how much she deviates from the other two. To achieve the moe with Komi, it's a lot more wholesome. Whereas Nagatoro and Uzaki are a lot more aggressive, and they provide a lot of sexual tension and a lot of the interesting, horny moments. Komi isn't like that. She'll really rub your heartstrings and be the most moe girl of all time, due to the fact that she's extremely simple, shy, timid, and she's frail. Komi's biggest appeal is that she's extremely fragile and weak, but not in a rude way where she just gets her ass beat or anything. But she's weak in the sense that, like, the most average guy, the most average, normal, mundane dude doesn't have to try hard to gain her affection. He doesn't have to be better than what he is. Him being average is already better than Komi, because she can do less than average. She could do less than the average man can or average girl can in her story. So she's put at a deficit, and that's what her growth is about. Her learning to communicate, something that even the most average guy can do. Now, to achieve the moe from her, slightly pushing a simple button, right? Like, for example, saying, "Can you eat lunch with me?" Instant moe. Because normal social interaction nets you moe with her, because she doesn't know how to handle it. Her facade is simply doing nothing. So to break that facade from her, you just have to do and make her do anything. You tell her you want to get lunch with her, you tell her to order Starbucks, you fucking walk in her general vicinity, and you've obtained Komi moe. It's easy to obtain, but the best part about her moe is that it's extremely wholesome, you know? I mean, all of them is kind of wholesome, but this one's, like, wholesome on a very, very fundamental level. Like, for example, in one of the best parts, she gets a phone. A phone, because now she has friends to talk to on. Moe moment right there, right? She wants to get all of their numbers, but she can't speak to any of them. So when her friend Tadano tries to get her to ask her 3 friends for their numbers, she does so in, you know, typical Komi fashion. It's funny, it's haha. She doesn't actually say anything. But the moe comes in when she gets ratted out on by one of her, you know, quote unquote friends. It's by saying that she wanted Tadano's number to be the first one in her contact. Not much context is given there, but it does sound extremely sweet that she wants the guy that she met first to be her first contact. A lot of thought put into a girl who seems to not say much. She's not as absent-minded as you might think based on her lack of communication. So everyone gets blushy and quiet, and you get the moe moment where she just hands him her phone and can't look him in the eye anymore, because it did sound really wholesome and sweet and romantic. And then the next chapter following, she's sitting in her room, excited that she has her new phone and contacts for people to talk to, but she can't talk to anyone because she's still shy. Now you see a moment where no character's even on screen and you get the moe. Because now that she's alone, she can break the facade and she pretends to talk to people. She's like on the phone pretending to talk. Like, ooh, I'm talking to fucking Tadano. And it's funny and it's cute. Ultimate moe. But Tadano answers the phone because she accidentally called him. And you get her try to pretend to be a voicemail of someone who didn't answer the phone, which is extremely cute. Because her moe break is different than other girls. Their natural state of facade is them talking a lot, being really aggressive and assertive, but their moe is almost their silence. It's almost them not knowing what to say when usually they always do. Whereas Komi's is not having anything to say, but sometimes her moe could be her saying something or doing something. Her facade is doing nothing. Now her moe, which is her true self, the thing you get out of her by, providing any kind of, different interaction with her moe is her doing something. Now, moe is not really defined by how I'm using it here. To me, the moe is simply getting the ooey gooey good parts of all your best girls. They all have it. No girl's just completely normal. Real women, they'll talk and communicate with the best of their ability because that's just what real women do. Kind of lame. But anime girls, they're written to be a challenge. And overcoming said challenge and getting the stimuli that you really love, which is why you're reading them in the first place, is the appeal. Every anime character does it. Taiga, fucking Komi, Nagatoro, fucking Haruko, Nina Mori from Fooly Cooly. They all have the elements of the moe where you just hit them in the right spot and they give you all of the wonderful dopamine and satisfactory fucking everything. They give you everything you want. And it's just fun to talk about how each character's moe is different. Their moment of, damn, that's cute. And I want more of that because it forever will supply endless amounts of dopamine to my brain until I'm dead.